Osei, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm very well. Happy New Year to you and your listeners.
Happy New Year to you too. And it's always a pleasure having you in the studio. The first time here at Radio XYZ.
Yes, it is indeed the first time.
And I want to believe that first impressions?
Well, if you are talking about the premises, it looks good.
Right.
The studio looks quite modern.
Right.
But we'll see.
We'll see. I like that, Honorable. Anyway, but we're told that even before you go ahead and tell us a bit more about yourself, because a lot of people see you as a very quiet, laid back, was a gentleman sort of person, not loud, want to just handle your own business in your own way. So you would probably want to use this occasion to tell us a bit more about yourself in terms of where you schooled and how you got into politics and so on, and then we can move on to substantive issues. But we're told you're being recalled to Parliament. That really must be inconveniencing, isn't it?
Well, it is, but the matter that we are going to talk about, this is the merchant bank sale.
Right.
As you are fully aware, there have been lots of discussions since it became apparent that Merchant Bank will be sold to Fortis Equity Fund.
Right.
And many of the issues which have been touched about, it's concerned the process which led to the acquisition by Fortis, and whether that process was transparent, clear, and presented value for money for Ghana. I will not prejudge what other people will say on the floor of Parliament. There's also the issue of the bad debts of Merchant Bank and how we treat the whole collection process. Are we just going to leave 175 million cedis? These are matters which I'm sure will engage the attention of Parliament. But if all of us go to Parliament today with the sole intention of getting value for money for Ghana, I think we will have an interesting day.
But I already had the likes of Muntaka Mubarak have said that the timing of the recall, this was an issue that's been in the public domain for a very long time. It could have been brought to the attention of Parliament. Why wait till a time when parliamentarians are on holidays just to ask them to break their holidays and come back to talk about an issue which they didn't even deem to be that urgent as the minority are claiming?
Well, a parliamentarian may be on holiday, but we are the beck and call of the state. If Parliament is recalled wherever you are expected to be there. It doesn't matter whether you're on holiday or not. It may be inconvenient for some of us, but we feel that our duty is to respond to that call. So I will go to Parliament this morning.
But really, would anything change, Honourable?
I don't know whether anything will change, but I think the duty of any patriotic citizen is to protect his country from decisions which may well not be in their interest. So I think if we can do nothing at all, we should be able to talk about it. Tyranny, that's Thomas Jefferson says, tyranny needs to gain foothold when good people of good conscience remain silent. So let's talk about it. I know that some people might say it's probably too late in the day, but if it is discovered that the whole process was tainted, then it's not too late in the day. Let's talk about it. There's nothing wrong with talking about it.
No problem. All right, then. So we'll move away from this and now come back to you as a person. But who is Honourable Isaac? Because we do know that you're a member of Parliament for the Subin constituency. You've served in many positions. But I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to be the one to be walking the listeners through the capacity that you served in your working life. So who really are you?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer.
It sounds simplistic, but it's loaded.
No, it's not simplistic at all. On the contrary, it's a difficult question for me to answer. However, I can tell you what has transpired in my life.
Please do.
I was born in Kumasi. My mother, Mrs. Eunice Osei, is from Diskov in the Ahanta West district. My father, my late father, Nana Osei Nkwantebisa, better known as Ike Osei, was a businessman who built several secondary schools throughout the country. He became Nkoswohene of Ashanti, and I started school in Kumasi at the State Primary School under Master Arthur, who was a very famous head teacher
At that time?
At that time, in 1957, actually. Wow. That's when I started school. And went on to Achimota Primary School in 1960, Achimota School in 1963, and O-levels 68. 1970, I did my A-levels, and then went on to the University of Ghana, Legon. Started studying psychology, sociology, and economics, and graduated with an honors degree in economics in 1973, after which we were the first set to start the National Service Scheme under the Champon regime. So I started my national service at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and got my first job there at that same ministry, working under people like Mr. Charles Abakan and Mr. Sam Daisy, first in the industry, mining and forestry section, and then later in the macroeconomic division, which was headed by Dr. J.L.S. Abe. I left the ministry after I had undergone a master's program. First, I went to study mathematics and statistics at the Economics Institute of the University of Colorado at Boulder, and then went to Williams College in Massachusetts to study development economics. Came out in 1977 with a master's degree. I came back home, worked briefly with the ministry, and then went to the, I was employed by the Ghana Tourist Development Company, which was under the leadership of Mr. Osei. It is interesting to know that the managing director before Osei was Mr. Kofi Annan, who actually established that company. So the company was established with very strong systems. I became head of commercial operations department. We were running duty-free shops, the foreign exchange shop, diplomatic shop. We had a travel agency, Acrobat Tours, Travel and Tours. We did a lot of things, opened up casinos. We were supplying hotels and restaurants with various types of alcoholic beverages, which were not ordinarily available in the country at that time. We negotiated with Accor hotels, and subsequently the first international hotel, Novotel, was built in Accra, all under the leadership of Osei. And but in 1981, after the coup d'etat led by Jerry Rawlings, I decided that I would no more work for government, and I left and set up my own consultant firm, Ghana Exim Economic Consultants. We started first as a marketing consultancy, and later we became a fully fledged economic consultancy working all over the country, especially in road infrastructural planning, working for the World Bank, USAID, IDA, JICA, and the Ghana government, especially the Ministry of Roads and Highways. In those days, we developed the methodology for prioritizing or ranking feeder roads in this country. And because of our work as consultants in feeder roads, we were able to travel throughout the country, and I got to know my country a little bit. I worked with colleagues like Bike Eduse, Victor Newman, Muhammad Dubek, John D. Atifa, and others, William Yabua, Gloria Doe. There were so many other people we worked for, all of them professionals in their own right. Later on, I joined a business in which my family had interests, Intravenous Infusions Limited, as managing director. I had been a director for quite a long time. It was when I was at Intravenous Infusions Limited in Koforidua that I was invited by President Kufuor to become the High Commissioner for the Republic of Ghana in London and ambassador to Ireland. So I took up those public appointments because President Kufuor invited me. In 2006, he asked me to come back home to head Ghana Cocoa Board, which I did. And in 2008, the good people of Subin elected me as their Member of Parliament. In 2012, I retained the seat for my party, the New Patriotic party. So, in a nutshell, that is what that is Isaac Osei. I mean, I don't.
So you've been MP since 2008.
2008, first serving as the ranking member for trade, industry, and tourism, and now as ranking member for foreign affairs.
I see. It's not easy to retain one's seat. In your case, you've been MP since 2008. What's been the secret?
Well, I don't think, I mean, frankly speaking, my seat is a fairly safe seat,
right,
for the New Patriotic Party. It's in the heart of Kumasi, which is generally safe for the NPP. My seat is in the center of Kumasi, very cosmopolitan. We have, it's a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. We have probably the biggest Zongo in Kumasi, in Yalwa Zongo. We have Angra Fantinu town and Aigbe town, where ever-speaking people are located. There are a lot of Frafres and people of northern extraction in Adum and Roman Hill. And then there are the Ashantis in parts of Adum, Asafo, Amekum, Dadia Swaba, and Afongwanta. So it's a multi-ethnic, and you've got to work with all the people, irrespective of whether they voted for you or not.
But maybe I should have framed my question this way, because I'm sure that if you hadn't performed, you probably would have been shot down at the primaries level. Well,
I was fortunate enough not to be challenged by anybody when I went in a second time. So there were no primaries. It was just an acclamation by the people of Subin.
Meaning that it was like you said, an acclamation. Obviously, because it means you were lucky. So it means that you haven't really been put to test yet, really.
That is not the case. It is possible that those who may have contemplated standing against me felt that it was not necessary.
And that it will be a lost battle.
It could have been a lost battle, but it also because maybe they felt I had performed. Indeed, one of my opponents in 2008 came out clearly that if I was standing, then he would not stand because he felt I had done a good job.
I see. And currently, what's your position in Parliament?
I'm the ranking member for Foreign Affairs.
The ranking member for Foreign Affairs.
Yes. That is the opposition spokesman for Foreign Affairs.
I see. I want us to look at your party, the NPP, Honourable, because you see, I think since 2008 or so, there's been lots of talk about you being one of the, perhaps the messiah for the NPP, because those of us who are on radio receive a lot of text messages, a lot of Facebook comments. When you interact with people, ask about Honorable Isaac Osei and ask that why hasn't he really been, as it were, shown that much interest in standing for the NPP flag bearership? How many times in a day, Honorable, do you keep getting calls from constituents and NPP members and asking what really are your future plans for the NPP? I do know that sometime in 2008, I think it was 2007 or so, you were touted as one of those who was probably going to join the band of 17 or so aspirants. But it turned out not to be the case. You didn't contest, did you?
No, I did not contest in 2007. But let me just say that I don't think there's anybody who can call himself a messiah for the NPP.
Right.
I mean, it's an expression which is the very antithesis of what the NPP stands for. In the NPP, it's about competitive politics. So if you are interested in the leadership, you have to offer yourself. Some of my colleagues say that all kinds of people are calling them. Well, let me put it this way. It is not a leader does not follow the people. A leader leads. So you yourself must have the capacity, the intention, and the will to stand for elections first. As to what other people say, it may well inform your decision. But the most important thing is for the leader to lead. People have
meaning
talked
there
to
must
me.
be a decision on your part first of all that you want to lead.
Absolutely. So anybody who says that I'm going because people are saying I should go, I have my doubts. You are going because you feel you have something to offer your country, and that you can get a following which will lead to victory for your party in the next election. I think that is the critical thing.
Yeah, but your followers can also help you decide, isn't the case?
Oh, absolutely. They can advise you, but that decision has to be made by
because you see, your followers can also draw attention to some qualities that you probably didn't even know that you had.
Well,
and that can help you make a more informed decision about yourself.
Every leader has to be a little introspective. You know, you look at yourself, you go inside yourself, and you know your weaknesses, and say that as a result of the preponderance of weaknesses, I'm not going to stand. You may not be healthy, you may not have the money to do the job, and so you say, "Oh, I'm not going to stand." Other people are probably better positioned, you know, to lead the party, and therefore I should throw in my lot with others. As to whether I will stand or not, I don't think that this is the platform for me to talk about it. Mm-hmm. I think if I were to stand, I will definitely talk to my party, and that is where, you know, I'll make an announcement.
Well, can I safely assume that since 2007, when your party went for that primary?
But let me just cut in and say that even though I was not one of the 17, I was one of the 5 in 2010.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not true that people are asking, "Oh, why is he not standing?" I've stood before.
Yeah, you stood before, but you stood.
And
you
I
stood
can
in
stand
2010.
again too.
You can stand again.
Yes,
that's a very loaded statement, Honorable.
Well, I've said it.
It means that we shouldn't rule out the possibility of you expressing
in politics,
your desire to want to stand.
Circumstances change, things change, and decisions have to be made on the basis of what is happening around you.
Currently within the NPP, it appears, as some political pundits will say, that it's as if anybody else who wants to stand for the NPP's flag bearership would have to wait, because Nana Addo has been widely marketed. I'm not saying you're going to stand, but you're a key member within the NPP. Your voice counts. You have an opinion, just like any other member within the NPP, and I'm seeking your opinion purely based, your opinion purely as such on this matter. Some have said that indeed your own General Secretary, that Sir John, has said that anybody who wants to stand for the flag bearership aside, who wants to compete, Nana Addo would have to wait till 2020, because Nana Addo is being widely marketed. It makes a lot of sense that you send him back to the market in 2016, and he believes that this time round Nana will be bought. You have an opinion on this matter, Honorable?
Of course I have an opinion on this matter. First of all, let me say that Nana Akufo-Addo has been a very good candidate for the NPP. He has a very broad vision of, and it's the clarity of his vision, the transformation agenda that he has. So definitely Nana Akufo-Addo will be a strong candidate. But I don't accept that everybody who has an ambition should forget it. I think people should put their names out there. In the event that Nana declares that he will stand, I'm quite sure other people will contest him. That is the way of our party. In our party, we don't want coronations. What we want is competitive politics. It may well be that if others compete against Nana Akufo-Addo, Nana may win. But when he comes out of that process, you know, then all of us will rally behind him. If another candidate should emerge the winner, I'm quite sure that Akufo-Addo and all those who support him will also rally behind that candidate, so that that candidate can lead the NPP to victory. It is completely a different question as to whether he should stand.
Should he?
Let me put it this way. If he feels strong enough. Strong enough.
You mean strong as in what? Physical strength?
Physical strength, financial strength, preparedness to travel the length and breadth of the country, to remarket himself. I'm sure that if he feels strong enough, then perhaps he should stand. But that decision has to be made by Nana Akufo-Addo and not anybody else. You know, he himself must want to stand. That is the first thing.
What is the school of thought about he should give way for others to try? But that's another matter. But you please just
look, people have emphasized.
Just wrap up with this, and then we can look.
People
at
have emphasized Nana's age, for example, but really, age is just a number. It's your vision. It's your capacity to get people around you, to raise the financing necessary for a campaign. As to the question about Nana being marketed, I don't buy that question. Of course, everybody in this country knows Nana Akufo-Addo. But if a new leader were elected today, every radio station in our country would want to talk to him. If a new leader were to be elected, his face will be on every newspaper in this country. Television stations will want to talk to him.
There are villages.
In that instance,
there are villages in this country, Honorable, who don't have TV.
Yes, but we have 2 years. We have 2 years.
Okay.
We have 2 years. So
would that be enough?
I think that will be more than enough for either Nana or a new candidate
to be marketed. Yeah, but you're making a point about the issue as to whether he should stand or not.
Well, I mean, that is entirely up to Nana. If he feels up to it, then of course he should stand. He's a strong candidate. He's well respected within the party, but so are other people.
If somebody stood for your party in 2008 and stood for your party in 2012, clearly you can't compare the extent to which such a person has been marketed. You can't compare that to somebody who will be marketed in 2 years.
Look, the election in 2016 is going to be different from the elections that we have had.
How so?
We will have an incumbent president. It is true that in 2012, John Mahama was president at the time those elections were held. But he had been president for a very short time. He would have 4 years. So our strategy has to be a little different. We have to look at the record of John Mahama in office and then be able to come up with the strategies which we believe will help the MPP back to power. So the MPP's record can be matched against the record of John Mahama. It is not the individual candidate. Nana Akufo-Addo's vision was bought by the whole party. So it has become a party vision.
It's about the execution, Honorable.
It is about the execution.
And it takes leadership to execute those visions.
It is true.
If you're a weak leader, you can't execute that.
But you see, the ideas that Nana has, these ideas are now the ideas of the party. And I believe anybody who is elected by our party can lead it. But Nana will definitely continue to play a role in the party, whether he's leader or not. And so will, say, ex-president John Agyekum Kufuor, who arguably has been the most successful liberal democratic politician in our country.
Some say that the conservative posture of your party makes it difficult for others who are not perceived to have served the party for many years, or have been with the party for many, many years, and makes it a bit difficult for them to emerge as leaders within the party. We hear a lot of Yeni Mufritite, which was one of the slogans that earned Nana Akufo-Addo the flag bearership. How is that going to play out, just in case people like you and others want to stand?
I don't think it's the slogan which earned Akufo-Addo
the flag bearership.
The flag bearership. But I think it's his record in the party. It's the quality of his contribution. But I'm saying that other people have also made contributions to our party. And if they offer themselves and are able to put forth what they have done within the party, perhaps some people will look at it.
But why?
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who eventually emerges. At the moment, what we are doing in our party is building the structures of our party. We have had our constituency level elections put in place, officers to run and man our polling stations, our electoral areas, our constituencies. We are now looking to the regional and national elections. And all these, are part of the process of building the party. But you see, those of you who are in the media especially are so interested in who leads. If you lead a weakened structure, I don't think that you can win.
If a weak leader leads a strong structure, the party won't win as well.
The fact of the matter, fact of the matter is that you have to understand who is driving the machine. Are we winning the elections because we win at the polling station level, or because the presidential candidate, energizes the party? But it's got to be a bit of both.
Exactly.
Yeah. But more important for me is that the polling station is where elections are won and lost.
Precisely.
If you are losing your election in your polling station, then you must understand that you are losing the elections. So we have to strengthen the polling stations. And it doesn't matter who is leader. If you are a leader, you have to have that recognition that the polling stations are the place. And this is what I think our party is trying to do at the moment.
But you see, most of the things with all due
leadership
respect,
is important. Leadership is important. Visionary leadership is important. And how we execute the vision that has been put in place is also equally important.
I will come back and ask you this question about, I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll ask you about, just in case you decide to stand, what will account for that? I'll be right back.
It's real. It's amazing. It is the place to be. The real place. Shepard Gift Shop. Shepard Gift Shop gives you everything you need for this season and beyond. Shepard Gift Shop is a wholesale and a retail shop just for you. We sell teddy bear, hard liquor, assorted gift items, and many more of the things you really need. Shepard Gift Shop is the real place to get your hampers. Locate us at the Nima Runabout, Trust Sam House, and the Christian Village, Odo Plaza Cemetery Junction. Call us on 0244 374038 or 030-241-4009. Email us at shepard@yahoo.com. Shepard, the customer is always right.
Somebody has given a country that has given you a platform. You come and tell the whole country that your pitch is so hard, I cannot play on it. I mean, what is it?
Tips. I'm saying tips. I'm saying again, they are tips. I should collect that, my mother money, treat myself. No one call me to ask, tell me, maybe Maggie, you will get your money this date or this, that. So, because of all this, I don't have happiness to compete for Ghana anymore. You don't know anything in football. You don't know. You have to learn. It's not book. Look, the shame they bring it to Ghana. Nigeria beat. We took academy boys to play the juvenile on the 17th. We lost 6-0 to Nigeria. It's a shame to the Ghana football.
I am surprised at, Kwesi Nyantakyi even saying that he doesn't even have a problem with the return of Richard Kingston.
I love Ghana. I like Ghana. I love Ghana. We thank God for that.
Join me, Nana Kweku Ajiman, on Sports Chat each and every Wednesday afternoon between the hours of 1:15 and 3 p.m. on Radio XYZ on 93.1 FM. You know it makes sense.
Hello, this is Akospio Gabra, and I invite you to join XYZ Breakfast Show with Moro Amadu. His program is insightful, entertaining, and informative on Radio XYZ 93.1 FM. Yes, it's truly simply the best.
My name is Anita Erskine. After a hot cup of tea, I tune into Radio XYZ 93.1 FM for the XYZ Breakfast Show with Moro Amadu.
All right, welcome back. It's 20 minutes to the hour of 9. You're listening to the XYZ Breakfast Show. My name is Moro Amadu. Your messages are coming in thick and fast. I appreciate that. Isaac from Bunkpuru says, please ask Honorable Isaac Osei, why is he being dodgy as to whether he wants to become president or not? Because people like us have been following him for a long time, and we really are sick and tired of the two so-called factions within the NPP. We believe he's the one who can solve our problems for us. He should please be straight. Okay. And this one from Mame. Okay, Mame. Okay, Mame says that I really like and admire this gentleman, but I haven't heard a lot about him. Can you please ask him to go on the social media platforms and talk to some of us, because that's where most of us are. Anyway, so okay, all right. So there are some people who And some people will ask you to go a bit more social media because that's where that's where they sleep, they drink and eat. So if you can be, but I think you're on social media. And this one says, Honorable Osei, would make a good presidential candidate, but the posture of some current party executives is the problem in the party. Unless these people are asked, it will always be a no. It will always be no and a no votes mantra. Abdullahi from Zabzugu, who sends that message. Mr. says that. Moro, Mr. Osei sounded like a moderate liberal MPP, but did you hear the names of people he said he had worked with in his professional career? They seem to be the people from only the Akan-speaking part of Ghana, and that is the problem with the MPP leaders or potential leader. Jonas from Adenta, I don't know where this is coming from, but well, that's your opinion, and I think that you're entitled to that. And the texter here says that Moro, Isaac Osei is in the same category with Alan. Tall, handsome, and humble, but can never snatch the seat from President Mahama in 2016 because Mahama is far better than all of them. Alan, okay, this one is coming from Papa Bisu, who sends it a text. And this one says, I am 25 years and I'm considering marriage. Okay, no, this one is, I think somebody just, it's a misplaced text. All right, so it's 0544-931-931. There's lots of issues that we'll talk about on Honorable. Now, I asked a question before we went on break, and respectfully so, let's tackle that issue and then we'll come back and look at even what appears to be the level of intolerance within your own party. You have a situation when it looks like you're either for Nana-Addo or you are against them. If you are against Nana-Addo, or if you speak your mind about some going on within the NPP, you are either described as a hypocrite or described in all kinds of unsavory terms, and that appears to have made some founding fathers within the party taking a backseat, because it's as if they are now aliens within their own party. When they say their minds, all sorts of insults are held at them. That's another matter which I'll be seeking your opinion on. But let's talk about the issue about should you, because you're saying that's a possibility, should you declare someday that you would want to stand for the flag bearership of your party? What factors would account for that? What are some of the things that we'll be looking out for before making such a decision?
Well, if I decide to stand, I will stand first because I believe I have something to offer, and secondly because I think I can win and go on to win the national elections. I mean, I know the position which has been taken by a gentleman who just sent you a text, but I believe that many of us so far, considering the record of President Mahama in office, I am not excited about what will happen in the next 3 years. It is quite obvious that the government does not have a handle on the economy. And I think many of us in the NPP should be concentrating on that. I certainly will be concentrating on that this year, talking about what the NDC is doing, which is pulling our country back. And perhaps if they change as a result of our proddings, that might be good for our country. As to the point that you made about
the level of intolerance within your own party.
I don't know whether there's a high level of intolerance in the NPP, but I do know.
I can name a tall list of people who have come under a barrage of attacks just because they opinion their opinion. Arthur Kennedy is one of them.
Yes.
Dr. Nyao Tamaklo is one of them.
Yes.
What is the Sekou? What's the name of that? The former chairman of your party, Haruna Sekou, is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on and on and on about.
I think the most recent one which you left out is that of Apreku.
Absolutely, even Dr. Apreku.
Well, I will not go so far to suggest that Apreku is a turncoat, as I heard somebody saying that he's following the NDC. There's a man who has served his party as MP and as minister. If he has a different opinion as to how we should move forward as a political party, I think he's entitled to his opinion. I may not agree with him, but I'll certainly not attack Aku in that way. Dr. Nyao Tamaklo, Kwam Pianim, Charles Grobe, all of them have different views. There's nothing wrong with having a different view about how things should run in the party. And people must also state their views instead of attacking these people, the persons of these people. I will never call Apreku a traitor. Recently, Lantre Martin called for unity in the party. I think that is what any true son of the party should. We should call for unity because we know that in some areas people are attacking individuals personally. I would hope that this will stop. I understand that in a game of politics which is competitive, there's bound to be some friction. But there's absolutely no reason why we should insult people. There's absolutely no reason why we should attack them personally. I find you may attack their ideas. You may attack the programs that they may have. But to attack them and call them tencoats and all that, I don't accept that. This is wrong. We need all our people on board. Men like Nyaho Tamaklo, whom you mentioned, Apreku, Alanche Martin, whether Nana Akufo-Addo wins or not, these are people who can continue to make a contribution.
Maybe the party doesn't believe that. When the party believe that
who is the party?
Away,
all of us are the party. People in positions of authority probably don't like the ideas they expand. And I don't like some of the things that they say. But that is absolutely no reason to say that because of that, they cannot be in the party. It's absolutely no reason at all. We need everybody on board with the ideas. Some may find some of these ideas obtuse, but that is the essence of a democratic party. Where is our liberalism if we cannot tolerate the views of others?
Is this, as somebody who's been within the NPP for many, many years, is this a recent thing? Is this something that is cropping up within the NPP? I'm talking about this level of intolerance, whether it's high or low.
I don't know whether there's a very high level. I know that some people often attack others who make certain statements. I don't accept it. I think it is wrong for us to do that. What is important is for you also to state what your opinion on the matter is. And then we debate and come to a consensus on how we move forward as a political party. That is what is important.
There's one issue which appears to be hurting at the NPP, and I'm using my words here, advice it appears, which is that whether it is you or whoever ends up or becomes the flag bearer of the NPP, the issue about the acanistic nature of your party, which is that a lot of people see the NPP as a party that's dominated by Akans, and so makes it difficult for you to make major inroads in the northern regions, major inroads in the Volta regions, major inroads in some very key regions of this country. Is this a reality or is a facade?
Well, I think that in every country that you go to, political parties certainly have their strengths in certain regions or certain areas. We are very strong in the Ashanti region, perhaps because of our antecedents. In the recent election, we did quite well in parts of the northern region. We need to do more. We need to work with all the regions of the country. We don't have to just give away certain regions on the grounds that we have not done well in the past. I have many friends in the Volta region and in the north, and I will continue to work with them because they have a contribution to make, to strengthen our party. As to whether we are an Akan party, it is something which I believe our opponents have been able to speak on very, very, very loudly. Anybody within our party can offer himself, but we are a democratic party. And that for us is the fundamental thing. If you offer yourself and you happen to be an ever and you are elected, the entire party will be behind you. But nobody is going to handpick somebody and say that you should be this or you should be that. You have to offer yourself and run. People are not arguing today that the NDC is a Northern and Volta party broadly. We can't say that. The fact that the NDC won in several other areas does not disguise the fact that in the three northern regions and the Volta region, NDC is extremely strong. But it will not be correct for us to call the NDC an ever and northern party. No, it is not correct for us to say that. We have to look at it, in its totality. We have not been strong in certain regions. We have to do more work in those regions to bring on board other people who otherwise may feel marginalized in our party.
The division within your party.
What division are you talking about?
Well, there's lots of talk about divisions within your party, which is
there are divisions in every party. There are factions in every party.
We're told there's an Achim caucus and there's an Ashanti caucus, and indeed
Moro,
it plays out all the time.
There's one word which
internal politics, and even externally, we're told it affects the fortunes of your party.
Look,
you disagree, don't you?
This Achim Ashanti thing is poppycock. That's
Really?
it. Yes. It is poppycock. Look, I myself am married to an Achim woman. Okay? I am part Ashanti, part Ahanta. I'm married to an Achim woman. I don't see any problem at all in that. By Akan traditions, all my children are Achims. And so what? It doesn't really matter where you come from. And the Ashantis have no beef with the Achims, to the best of my knowledge. If individual members have problems, with various tribes, that is their problem. They ought to resolve that. But I don't. And I believe many people in my party don't consider this as an issue at all.
You mean as an ethnic group, which is the Achims, don't have a problem with the Ashantis?
I don't think so.
It's just...
I don't think so. I don't think that there's any problem. After all, the king of Ashanti himself is married to an Achim lady from Chebi. So what are we talking about? Please. Don't let us get into this. People use ethnicity to explain away their deficiencies, and we shouldn't.
As far as you're concerned, there isn't such divisive divisions within your party which is affecting your party, and much less talk about an Achim Ashanti matter, because for you as poppycock.
You see, what is the problem is that
some of your
perceptions.
Some of your own party people have actually,
yes,
to that.
I've read some of.
There's divisions within your party, and it's affecting your party. I mean, you can play the ostrich.
No.
There's really a problem.
On the contrary, I'm not playing the ostrich at all. People have talked about the problem, and they referred to the UNC Progress Party era as a period. But clearly, there were very, very, very senior Ashantis who were members of the UNC. Many senior, Akwesi Amankwa Frifa, was a member of the UNC. Adade Dubois, all those people were members of the UNC. What are we talking about?
Alan Chermanting, Nanado, what do you call it? I call it factions within the NPP. Where's that coming from?
Well, it surprises me for people to talk about these factions. You see, it's just that a group of people follow Chermatin, and a number of people also follow Nana Akufo-Addo. They follow them not because they are this man is an Ashanti. One of the closest friends of Chermatin in this business is the MP for Suhum, obviously an Achim area, And there are many Ashantis. After all, Praku himself managed Nanado's campaign. So what are we talking about? Boache Jakon is part Ashanti, part Krobo. He was with Nana Akufo-Addo. I was a member of Akufo-Addo's campaign team. And what are we talking about?
Well, then indeed...
you see, in reality, people may feel that these things are there. And I'm not playing the ostrich at all. In my interpersonal relations with people in the party, we have never talked about this man being a Chim or this man being an Ashanti. Today we are going to Parliament because Dominic Nitiwul, led a move for the recall of Parliament. We didn't look at Dominic Nitiwul as Kokumba from Bimbela. We looked at him as a leader who feels that something should be discussed by all of us. That is the way, we grow a country. And I think that as far as possible, we should not foster these things. As much as possible, we should do and say things which will foster national unity. This is critical for our country as we move forward.
In case you decide to stand, you'll be coming up against the likes of Dr. Kofi Konedo Apreku, the likes of Nanado himself, Alan Chermanting, then the likes of Joe Gate. I think so far these are some of the names that have come up quite prominently. Which of these do you think will be your biggest threat?
Look, we cannot prejudge this. Let me say very clearly that one day in politics, maybe 24 hours, but it's a very long day. Many of us who may be interested are looking, and certainly I am looking at the national elections when we feel that we have a structure in place, a structure of the party in place which we can work with. I'm sure that we may have something to tell the people of the country. If, in fact, all the positions that I will espouse within the party are covered by a candidate who is stronger, I may have to reconsider whether I will stand or not. But meanwhile, one has to test the waters, and this is what we are doing.
Are you testing the waters?
Wouldn't you, if you were in my position?
And what are you seeing so far?
Oh, the waters are not muddy.
I like that. But yeah, but you know, you and I were talking earlier about, I know you have to leave in the next 5 minutes or so, but you and I earlier were talking about, because you see, whether you like it or not, what we're hearing is that the Nanado factor is still quite strong within the NPP.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
That Nana Akufo-Addo may well be the preeminent person in this particular race. But I say one day, it's a very long time in politics. We still have regional and national elections to come up. You know, regional elections, I believe, this month, and then national elections in March.
In all honesty, Honorable Isaac Osei, would you...
Let me just add that...
Quickly something. All right,
Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, I said he was probably the eminent leader in our party.
Right.
I think at the moment, Nana Addo has transcended politics and has moved into the realm of statesmanship. He's become a statesman. If I were to advise Nana Addo, I would say that let his legacy be that, if I were to advise him. However, if Nana decides to compete in the very topsy-turvy political realm and wins the election, we will all support him. As I know that if someone else wins, he, being the Democrat that he is, will also support that person. That's the way I see it. I would think that Nana has carved a certain niche for himself. He has moved a notch above politics, become a statesman with that singular statement that he made. His whole demeanor, comportment during the trial of the election petition case. And then his statement on the day when judgment was given, it put him on a certain pedestal. I personally would not want Nana Addo to step down a notch, but that is a decision Nana has to make. He is a leader, and if he feels able and he is willing to lead and he wins the primary process, I'm sure all of us will rally behind him. If somebody else wins, I believe that Nana Addo and those who support Nana will also support that person. That is the way of the NPP. The question that they talk about, no Nana, no vote, please, let's stop that.
Why not? That's how some people feel.
No, they may feel so, but that doesn't help the party. Your political party must be a party which encourages other people to join in competitive elections, whether at the polling station level, at the coordinators level, in the constituencies, in the regions, and in the national elections, and much more so in the presidential elections. That is what we want.
You're suggesting if Nana Addo comes back and wants to lead your party into the 2016 election, that would amount to coming a notch.
I didn't say that. I said that if he were to join the topsy-turvy nature of the primary process, he will be taking a notch down. He may not agree with me,
right?
But that is perfectly normal.
So he risks dropping that statesmanship.
Yeah, but it is how he conducts his campaign which can restore him to that level.
It appears Nana is a threat to most of you, isn't he?
He's not a threat at all. Nana is an asset to the party.
But also a threat.
No, it doesn't. I don't agree with what you're saying. I don't see Nana as a threat I don't see Alan Chamatin as a threat. All of them are assets to the party.
You don't see Dr. Kofi Konedu as a...
I don't see them as threats.
As for them being assets to the party, nobody doubts that.
I see them all as assets. This party must show that we have a lot of people who have the capacity to lead the party.
Why isn't the party saying that? Is it a case that your supporters are quieter? Because there was all talk about...
On the contrary,
Alan,
the race
Nanado.
The race is not started yet. When it starts...
The song will change, you mean? The tune will change?
The song will certainly change, or there will be variations of the tune.
There will be more renditions, you mean?
There will be different harmonies to the tune.
How popular are you within the NPP, Honorable Osei?
I have not sought popularity within the NPP. What I've tried to do is to do my work to the best of my ability at the constituency level where I am today. And then also in the various organs of the party where I've had to play a role. That is for me more important than courting a mere populist line. At the time that if I should stand and we have elections, of course, then I'll be seeking the support of the broad masses of our party. But it's also important that you see, popularity. You gain that popularity within your party, not because. Okay, you want to say something. You see, popularity in politics is something which can be very fickle. Public opinion is the master who rules all of us. If our public say that Nanado is the man that they want, Nanado is the man who will be elected. But that should not preclude other people from offering themselves. Maybe some people may offer themselves today, not because they feel they have the prospect of winning, but because they want to show themselves and what they stand for the future. So nobody should preclude others from standing for elections. We should actually encourage people to speak out, whether you are an Arthur Kennedy or you are an Alan Martin, and you feel strongly about things in the party. There's nothing wrong, with speaking out. What is important, that you are decorous in the things that you say. What is important, that you participate within the organs of the party to air out what you feel. I think that is what is critical.
There's one issue which has come up quite prominently, and indeed Dr. Kennedy has written quite extensively about, and he poses a question whether the NPP wants a flag bearer or a presidential material.
If I were to stand, surely I don't want to be just the flag bearer. I want to be the next president of the Republic.
No, because you see, his concerns are that there's a fixation, especially amongst the rank and file, about getting a flag bearer, not necessarily a presidential material.
By your word and by your actions, you can change that perception. By your words and by your actions, that perception can change. And certainly, I don't think that our party people simply want a flag bearer. They want somebody who can lead them to victory in 2016. That is what our people want. And that is what I believe our people will get eventually.
So for you, it's not an issue with the fixation with the flag bearer, not a presidential material. It's not an issue for you.
I think we should fix our eyes on the NDC and the poor performance of the NDC in office. The wanton corruption which all of us have talked about. Those are the things I think we should fix. And we do so not because we simply want to criticize the NDC. What we want to do is to enable them to perform better. It is our job as a loyal opposition. We are loyal not to the government but to the state. For us to speak out when we feel something is wrong. And for us to offer alternative solutions. And this is what I think going forward we should be trying to do.
I got lots of text messages here.
I'm sure you will.
One from Mr. Brown says, "Hi Moro, please tell your guest, Mr. Osei, in the studio to use the word president to address His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as president of Ghana for the respect of the nation. And Moro, your guest Osei is not patriotic Ghanaian because Osei just addressed Kufuor as ex-president. But he failed to address the sitting president as president.
Look,
it's not good.
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Politics is the only profession you go into where your titles often are dropped. You can be called Isaac Osei, you can be called John Mahama. Everybody in this country knows that John Mahama is our president. About that, whether I refer to John Agyekum Kufuor as ex-president or not, it's neither here nor there. In politics, when you go into politics, you become an open book. Even the smallest child in the street can call you and say, hey, Isaac Osei. That is the nature of our political. But I respect John Mahama, who is our president. The fact of the matter is that I think he has not performed. Some NDC people would think that he has done very well. We have to go to the court of public opinion in 2016 to judge that.
And get their verdict on that.
Absolutely.
All right. President Mahama isn't pulling the country back. For example, on corruption, he's doing his best to halt it. Mind you, alleged corruption activities never occurred under him. Most generated under President Kufuor. For example, Waterville, Woyome, Isofoton, etc. On depreciation of the city. Blame it on the fall of cocoa and gold prices at the world market, not Mahama, Moro, and Hantang as well. Papa obviously writes. And this one's from Nania. Nania says that, I love this man. I think he's a proper presidential material. Where are his billboards? Well, he hasn't started campaigning, or he has not said he's going to start campaigning, and so why talk about billboards? And this one says that I like this man, but you see, this Alan Nanado faction in our party is what is killing us. Why don't they give the likes of Honorable Isaac Osei the chance for them to stand? Kofi from Ibri and Sawam. Okay, and this one from Kwame Ahenepan Kasa. I hope I got that right. It says, "Say, I'm 25 years. I'm a young man, and I'm listening to people like the man in your studio. It gives me a lot of hope. But I don't know a lot about him. Can he do some things for us to know more about him? I think he's a type that Ghana needs." Okay. That's Kwame Ahenepan Kasa. I hope so. Selena says that wonderful, great interview. I love this man in your studio. Mr. Osei, please keep hope alive. We are solidly behind you. Okay. Now, another one here from Seriam. Seriam says that as for Volta region, NPP should not even dare because we will never vote for them. In fact, in the next elections, we will even do much better than we did in the last elections. Long live NDC. Seriam sends that text. Anyway, it's 10 minutes past 9. Honorable, I'll leave you with your final words before you take leave of us.
Well, let me make it very clear. And this I do without any equivocation. Of course, I want to be president of our country. But let me say that if I do not become president, that is not the end of the world. You know, I'm ambitious. I'm a politician. I'm ambitious. I want to get to the top of the ladder. But if I don't get to the top, I will still make my contribution to our country. To our party faithful, I think that it is important that we understand that democracy is not just about voting. Democracy is about offering a platform where there's a competition of ideas and programs, of even personalities. We have to look forward as we build our structures to understanding that it is the counting which matters. It is the declaration of results. It is the collation at the polling station. That is what all of us should be looking at. I wish our people well. A Happy New Year to all members of the New Patriotic Party, and indeed all other members of other political parties. I'm quite sure that in the course of the year, interesting things will happen in our country.
There's a last but final text message here from Kwame Danso. He says that please ask Honorable what he makes of the selective invitation of our party people, by our party people, to some so-called recalcitrants within our party like Atake and Dr. Kofi Akoredo Apreko. When Honorable Kennedy Japong has not been invited, with all the things he said about some persons within our party. Does he have a view on that?
Well, everybody is entitled to speak his mind. Whether you are Arthur Kennedy or Kennedy Japong, you should be able to speak your mind within the councils of the party. It's how you do it. You know, it's how you do it. And I will certainly speak my mind all the time, but I will not do it in an insulting manner. I will speak directly to people if I have to, and I'll make my views heard on various issues which affect our country and my party.
His concern is that the disciplinary committee of your party has invited the likes of Dr. Kennedy and Dr. Kofi Akunedo Apreku.
I didn't know that the disciplinary committee has invited Dr. Kofi Akunedo Apreku. My view on Apreku's statement was that what he was asking for was an introspection, on the processes and the campaign that we had in 2016. He may have said it in a way which rubbed people on the wrong side, but I don't think that is a matter which should necessitate a call before the disciplinary committee. Anyway, those are my views. Many people may not agree with me, but those are my views, and I insist on making my views known.
How did the constituency elections go for you? I'm sure you were keeping
I was not a candidate, because in my constituency, I made it very, very clear that anybody who is elected by the people of the constituency, I will work with. I have no fear about anybody, and I congratulate my chairman, Mr. Buama, and his team for winning the constituency elections. I'm there for them, as I hope they will be there for me.
Have a good day, sir. I wish you well.
You too. I wish you well.
That's the Member of Parliament for the Subin constituency. That's Honorable